Welcome back. We are finally at full strength. Here we got Raw back. So Raw, say hi to the nice people.
So
So we want to start off with our mental health check-in. So as usual, EJ, we're gonna start with you. How was your week this week?
The week this week was good. I mean, busy, but it was good. Nothing really happened. Helped the bro out on yesterday. It was good overall. No complaints really here.
Your life seems very boring.
My life is
You had a very boring
very
week.
consistent life.
Very consistent, boring life. Gotcha. Raw, please amp this. We already started on a bad foot. Can we start amp this up? How was your week?
my week was cool, it's been up and down a little bit since, we went through something a little tragic a couple weeks ago. But for the most part it's been good. Been trying to get back to being each other. Keep moving.
Back to normal life. Are y'all doing anything to like cope?
Oh, we're talking to somebody.
Okay. You're good.
Hi,
Good.
Lori.
And she's not wearing the same thing, by the way. Um, so good, good. I'm happy to hear that. You know,
5%.
this is a circle of trust. And if you need to reach out, let us know.
Most
Shar,
definitely.
I don't know why you're looking around, Shar. You're in
Cause
the circle,
it's a big circle once this this video post. I'm joking.
but
Like it's amongst us. Now go ahead.
go ahead, Shar. Well, how was your week?
It's so
um,
quiet.
Weekend was cool. I mean, no different. Went to work. Friday I had a good meeting at work where I had that moment where you're like, well, what are we doing to work on this? And I just happened to have something that we had that was working on it, so I was the hero. So I had that moment. So that was cool. Um, let's
So
see. Other than that, nah, chill week. Nothing really eventful. I gotta go throw away our Christmas tree today, so we still have it
you
out.
still have your Christmas tree up?
Yeah, well, we have it undecorated, but we just gotta go.
That is, I'm so,
It's
listen.
We have a real tree, so you
That
actually
means
have
that
to
means
dispose of it. So
it's their area. Their area is weird. Like they don't pick up like my parents' area. Like
yeah,
they have an assigned time to pick up like Christmas trees and stuff. Their area doesn't have that.
yeah, you actually have to go bring it somewhere to actually dispose of it. So
I guess I grew up where the Christmas tree could never see the new year. So I at December 26th, I'm breaking everything down. I spend that day breaking everything. Everything's put up. Everything is gone. So I am just shocked that people who still
I'm literally looking at poinsettias right now on our table. So
that's wild to me.
Plan.
That's so wild to me. So
like actually,
that just doesn't make sense. But so my mental health check in my week was interesting week. Actually, I have a topic already planning for our next topic, and it's a topic we brushed on before, but I want to deep dive into it, and we'll get into that next week. But I was riding around with my wife, and she brought up we were talking about the vaccine, and she said she was telling me about the vaccine. She started telling me what the vaccine is, and the whole time I'm thinking to myself, she don't listen to a damn thing I say. And I was like, and I could tell she ain't listening to the podcast because everything she's saying, I have already said on this thing.
mm-hmm.
But I'm just sitting here like, huh, okay, okay. But now I know confirmation. She doesn't listen to a damn thing I say.
Yeah, I had that moment with Shanita all the time where she'll be start talking about something. Y'all should talk about this. I'm like, yeah, we talked about this like 6 weeks ago. So it's like, so obviously you didn't listen to what we were having to say, but we good. So it's all good.
Another thing I wanted to talk to y'all real quick
Oh, she
about.
just side eyed me. Sorry.
Good.
Yeah, don't be talking about my friend Shanita, by the way.
You want to say good morning?
Morning.
Okay, there
Hey,
you go.
Shanita.
Shanita.
Buongiorno.
Another thing I wanted to discuss real quick. I see, and I think we all see this. I see a lot of interracial couples on commercials, and I always wonder is that kind of the where we're headed, or is that kind of like kind of like, why are they doing this kind of thing? So I was watching a football game last night, and I don't remember who was a team. I think it was a phone commercial, and it was an interracial couple, and they're saying that they're pregnant, and to a white couple. And I don't know why that struck me as interesting, because I was like, the only way the black guy can be here is if he's dating a white woman. And I don't have a problem with interracial couples, but I just wanted to understand as a society, like, kind of why are they doing that? It seems like it's happening so frequently. And I looked up the statistics, and it was like, this is number 2015. I couldn't find a earlier one, but it said 18% of black relationships are interracial. So let's just say the number is a little higher now, being 2018. Let's say it's 20%. That's still a very low percent from what they're showing on TV. Have y'all noticed that? Am I going?
It's not about.
Yeah.
It's not about showing what the statistics are or what it is, like the genetic, like the makeup of how many people are interracial. It's about representing black faces. So the way to represent them is to attach them to someone else, and that person is often white or not of the same race.
No, and I agree, and I think that's what more of my issue is that we can't see, like, just black families. They kind of have to be attached to white families to see it. And I just wanted to make sure I wasn't crazy in this situation. Char Raw, you want to jump in real quick?
I don't think you're crazy. Also, I think that the way that 2020 and has gone, I think they're trying to more of create some type of unity and give some kind of togetherness. So they're trying to blend everyone together, per se.
I can see that. It's just this commercial stood out to me because then they had another couple who was all white. That part of it kind of made it stood out to me. Go ahead, Shar, real quick.
I had a stat somewhere, I forgot what year, about 2050, they say the majority of the society is going to be mixed race anyway. So I think we're moving in that direction of, I think that's what they were saying, some type of ridiculous stat.
Oh, that's in 4 years. That's in 4 years, Shar.
No, 2050.
Oh, 50, okay. I thought you said
yeah. So
it's still like 30 years from now.
I mean, but that's a generation away. So it's like, it's not that far. Yeah. So that's not that far away.
If we're at 18% or 20%, that's going to have to be still a huge jump. I just think that we kind of are shown that interracial, that is the move, but statistically, it really hasn't been. So I just kind of find it. I don't have a problem with interracial couples. I just what I'm seeing in the media, I just see it a lot, and I'm just interested by it.
I think it's the same. I think we touched on this before. Like, it's no different. Like, the standard of beauty is not black in this country. It never has been black. It's always been lighter skinned individuals. They get more press. They get more representation.
Absolutely.
You've never really started to see that many black skinned people in media until recently. The last several years. In Lovecraft Country, you had a lead dark-skinned black individual, and that was the first time we really are represented in sci-fi. Then you had Black Panther, which was that as well. You had Issa Rae jumping on the scene with all different shades of people and darker-skinned people being represented. You had what's her name? Oh gosh, she won like almost every award. They tried to say she's the Black Meryl Streep. I don't know why I can't remember her name right now.
Oh, Viola Davis?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now you have
she
her.
Still didn't get paid like them though.
Exactly, changing the standard. So I mean, yeah, okay, there's more representation, but if you look in general in the media, it's mostly either white or very, very whitewashed black people. I mean, we have that issue even with black films. Like they always try to portray gods or people from actual African countries as super light skinned when that's never been the case.
So you be good, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
But also, but just to make this bigger point,
Rodden's literally like a step behind me.
So you'll be even gooder than him though.
He's like literally teetering on being in the field and in the house.
I think my eyes will keep me inside though.
Yeah.
As
soon as Master look in your eyes, we good. If he's good, he come inside.
He's gonna be like, look in my eyes. Yeah. Me and Char good. Me and Char in the field.
I'm a field. I already accepted my fate. But just to make this bigger point. So like, as black people, we don't even want to be superior. We're seeking equality. So if we reach equality in our minds, what do we think happens? Do we think Black people just stay? Because equality means that you have access to the same things that other races, white people have access to. So that means that if you have access to the same thing, chances of interaction increases, I guess, in a sense. So does that? So if doesn't equality means that we begin to blend more and actually become more interracial society?
No, that's yes, but that's statistically is not what's happening. That's I'm just letting you know. The media, it seems to me that it's shown the only way Black people can be on TV if we're attached, like Edward said, to a white person. Statistically, that's still not what's happening. So yes, I agree with you. It's just like we gotta stop. Like if we look at the NFL draft, we would think, yeah, like 80% of us is into. That's not. It's just not true. So it's just interesting. And I'm not saying it's a negative or positive. I just kind of want to understand what was the reason, because it seemed like it ballooned a lot. And I just kind of want to understand the reasoning behind it. But that might be a good topic. That's actually not our topic today. Go ahead, EJ. You want to say something?
Almost like a standard. Like if you look at most of the like new sitcom shows, they have like diverse set of like groups of families. So they'll have an all-white family, then they have an interracial family. They might have a family that has like Indian or Asian or Oriental like consent, like not Oriental because that's a decor, but Asian or like a Middle Eastern descent. Like they have tried to like, and then they have Hispanic and white. Like they try to like blend it all. It's like they have to hit these talking points or checkpoints to make sure that everyone's represented. As far as in response to what Shamorg said, I don't agree that equal means that we have to date outside of our race to be equal. Access can happen with us not necessarily having to date a white person. We can.
Well, we know what happened last time. We were equal, both separate. You know what I'm saying? So like,
no, but that wasn't equal.
That's a completely.
That wasn't equal.
That was a completely different like concept. What we're saying is we should have equal access to the things that are available and to everyone else. So equal access doesn't mean that we have to associate and align always with white people or.
Well, not align. Well, that's what I'm saying. If you're not aligning with white people anymore, if like in order for you to create the society that you're saying, you have to have separate systems of equality. And equality doesn't necessarily mean that separate. Like in order, you can't. So not everyone's like, for example, if HBCU was equivalent to a PWI, that doesn't mean that every Black person is going to go to HBCU. You know what I'm saying? Or that means that you're going to have white people going to HBCUs. I'm just saying, like, in my mind of equality, that means that everyone is just choosing to go where they want to go based off of their choice.
I agree with that, Shar. We got to go because this is not the topic. But I agree with you, Shar. But most people want to be around their own. That's natural. Most people are going to. So even though you're going to have a few people do that, majority of people want to be with their own. And the numbers kind of suggest that now. So going into our topic is kind of what our show is kind of based off of. And this kind of brought about, first of all, if y'all see the Jeezy and Gucci versus battle.
I did.
You didn't watch it?
No, I saw that.
Okay, so
I saw all the disrespect.
Yeah, and I was, if you're friends with me on Facebook, I was the whole time I'm posting about this thing. And at the end, to me it was kind of like a WWE ploy, where they're really cool, but they put on this game that they're beefing.
Right.
And it made me think about like males and our relationships with each other, how we deal with conflict, our values and relationships. And that's what I kind of want to talk about. Male and the Black male and the value of the same sex relationship. Also, this sparked up because, and Shar, I'm gonna tell our business for a second. So me and Shar had a disagreement, and Shar came over. Well, yeah, we disagree all the time, but Shar came over my place because he thought that, like, because of our disagreement, that like I was gonna cut him off or something. And I thought that was interesting because I was like, wow, why would I do that? But in his head, you want to defend yourself?
Yeah, we need to rephrase that comment, that statement. I didn't think that you were going to cut me off because I was afraid that we were arguing. It was based off your history of how you deal with conflict is where I want to reassure you that friends argue is what that was. Let's
Like,
clarify that. Yeah.
Like I don't know that.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we kind of, yeah.
You hear that? EJ is
not-
newsflash. Friends argue.
Yeah.
I just learned that.
That's not even what happened. That's not even like how it happens with him. You like when you like are like such an extremist, like literally. Shamorg.
I'm really not.
An emotional extremist. I absolutely believe that because like one thing can happen and you were like to like 100 on it, and it's like we're like, dude, it's not.
I think y'all think I'm more. I'm emotional in terms of my reaction to stuff, but in terms of how I deal with stuff, I'm not really. I'm not really emotional. So in the situation with Darrell, like you gotta accept who you are in terms of the type of person you are. You know what I'm saying? So my reaction was not more so, oh my God, Darrell's not gonna be friends with me no more because we had an argument. My reaction was, okay, Darrell has an issue in terms of trust sometimes. So let me reassure him sometimes that I'm solid. Although you may be upset with what I did, there's no need to expand that beyond us just having an argument.
I think I have issues with trust.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So that's what that was. But keep going.
I'm blown away by that.
Yes.
I'm like, I want to ask y'all, but anyway. So, so like I want to, but so my first question to you guys, and this is just strictly talking about our relationships with each other, as friends. Do you guys right now have 5 close males you can call on and count on at this very moment?
Yes.
Yes.
DJ?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So y'all have 5. What about 10?
10?
10 too many for me.
Y'all have 10.
No, 10 is too many.
10 too many.
I have 10.
You have 10 that you can count on, friends.
I have
you
10.
can count on right
now. Name them all.
I feel like you should. No, I don't want you to name
them.
So
are we talking about just 10 male friends or 10 friends, period?
10 male friends. They have to be males.
Because I classify them different. I have like friends and I have associates.
Yeah.
So as far as associates, I have probably more than 10. But in terms of your question, 10 people, 10 solid friends where if I have an issue I can call on, I have that 5. Yes.
No, I have a solid 5.
A solid 5. Yeah.
You have a solid rotation. Edward has 20.
I have not 20. I have maybe 15.
15 that you could call on.
15 solid friends.
You too hoish with your friendship.
Two solid male friends.
Yeah, that's too much to deal with. Now that's too emotional. That's too much emotion to deal with. Yeah.
I agree. I think I have 5 as well. Once we get into 10, it's definitely may, depending on the situation that happens, maybe. But they're good. That's
I had friends before y'all.
Me too.
So do I.
Like, what's your point?
Met each other later in life. I would hope all of us had friends for us.
I'm just saying.
Like, we didn't grow up together.
I think sometimes y'all forget that I have friends before y'all. Like a solid group of friends already.
We just look back at your Facebook and all the trips that you went on, shirtless.
Yes, and I'm going to continue to go on shirtless trips. You're going to see more shirtless and almost practically nude photos. That's just going to happen.
Well, awesome. Move on, because we definitely don't need to expound on that topic. So we all value friendships. Like they're obviously important to us to have these people. But what was it like? What would you say your friendships were like growing up? Like, how did you value friendship? How did y'all treat each other? What did y'all talk about kind of growing up?
I guess growing up, friendships were not surface level in a sense, because I'm speaking for myself, when you're growing up together, like, you're not really going through some deep stuff. It's more about like you just dealing with life, talking about girls and stuff, like very surface stuff in comparison to what you do as an adult. But overall, our friendships were solid. We were good, solid friends growing up, But it's definitely much deeper as an adult in comparison to being a kid, I guess. So I don't know if that makes sense to. Any
Yeah,
y'all?
it does
Yeah.
make sense. Roy, you want to jump in on this?
I mean, let's see. Who do you talk about? I mean, a lot of different things. Like,
Yeah.
growing up, you just talk about stuff that's going on with you at the time. Um, so I mean, I had one friend that, when we first met, he was living with his grandmother, and then later on, he ended up going to live with his mom's. But we still kept in touch, and so we end up going to the same secondary school. He only went there because I was going there. So if I didn't go there, he wouldn't be going there. So we end up doing that.
Word.
So we end up still being cool and all that stuff. We're still cool up to this day. Like every time I go back to Barbados, we talk all the time. I hit him up occasionally. Like if I go back, I can always stay with him, and we go back, we go out, we have a good time. So
No, so you created a deep friendship with your friends as a kid.
yeah, I mean we've known each other since we were like 4.
And also, Darrell, I'm sorry. So when you say deep, what you mean?
Well, I the thing is, I agree with you. I think that it's very surface level as a kid. Like all we did was we was in the same neighborhood together. All our moms knew each other, but we played ball. We talked about girls, and that was kind of it. Like we didn't talk about anything like emotional or anything going on. In fact, if we talked about something emotional, we joined on each other.
Okay.
And all that type of stuff.
Because I want to add like a clarifier, because like I guess mine is like a hybrid of yours and Raw, because I grew up in a small town, so I went to the same school with my friends from kindergarten to high school. So we went through that whole life experience together. And so as children, it was surface level, but then as I became an adult, with some of them, it did develop into a much more.
Well, we're gonna get into that.
Yeah. Okay, I'll get that. Okay.
Strictly talking about just as kids.
Okay, got you.
Like we thought that, hey man, we all gonna grow up. We might live in the same neighborhood together. Like we thought that's how it was, but it was very kind of surface level. We understood what was going on in each other's house. Like none of us had our real dads in the household, and we understood. But did we really talk about it? Did we talk about no. All it was about lying about how many girls we were sleeping with, and then playing basketball. That was it. What about you, EJ?
How was that kid as kids?
Yeah.
Okay.
You didn't lie? Y'all didn't lie about how many girls? Like, if you didn't have a bunch of friends who were lying about how many girls they slept with, did you have a childhood? Is the question.
No, that was never a conversation that I had as a kid.
Really?
Really?
Never a
So
conversation.
you never lied about who you slept with as a child.
No, because
I'm talking about like your early
Like
teen
middle
years.
school, high school.
No, I wasn't talking about that in middle school or in high school. Wasn't talking about.
What were y'all talking about? Like Sesame Street in high school?
No, I just wasn't around a group of people that were talking about that. That wasn't a.
I had to talk about it because they were talking about it. We all didn't know what the hell we were talking about.
So you had to compete.
Talk about
I had
it.
to
I mean,
compete.
everybody's lied about one person that slept when they came out late. They come out years later and be like, "Yo, dog, I was lying."
We don't even have that conversation. We just knew each other was lying. We don't even have to.
It's just like it was literally like the wood. Like, you serious?
Yeah, exactly. It was literally the woods.
No.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that was.
I mean,
Go ahead, EJ.
That wasn't my experience at all. Like my friendships, and I didn't hang around people that were in like that were like that. The most we talked about are people that we thought were attractive, or we were like maybe girl crazy at that time, but never talking about sex. And I actually never had sex until actually I was in college. So I was well behind the game. I was like almost 20 years old. But anyway, that's another story. But as far as kids, when I was growing up, I was moving around a lot. So my relationships were very like short term. But we were always like, I can remember as a kid, we were always like almost as a sense like a family. We would like take care of each other. People were trying to pick on us. We would be there like ride or die, like ready to fight. Like if someone was trying to come in on our territory or trying to that's how
That was a gang.
Yeah.
That's what it sounded like.
That was a
Coming in
gang.
the territory.
Absolutely were a gang. If we didn't like people, look, if we didn't like someone, everyone didn't like someone.
oh wow, that's deep.
But I think that's the neighborhood. That's similar to the neighborhood. But what I'm saying is, it didn't get kind of deeper than that. Like it didn't. we knew people's family, but we didn't really talk about what was going on in people's family. Like when I was struggling, my household was struggling when we didn't have food. Like it's not like I went to them and confided in them in the situations. No, we just played basketball and lied about girls. Like that's just what the whole childhood was about.
Yeah,
So,
you're just too busy running around playing in order to deal. Like, I mean, home was an escape. You don't want to talk about your your situation when you're trying to cross somebody over. I mean, it's just like, yeah, it was
yeah, man, I'm going through it and then hit the face. Like, no. But how are you? How are your friendship have evolved since you became adults now? Okay. So now let's get into the adult friendship conversation. They don't have to be the same people you were kids with, but how has the value in the stuff y'all talk about as adults now?
I'll go ahead and talk about the ones what I grew up with, because I think it's different type of friendships. Like with my friends that I grew up with, like your friend, like y'all, when y'all become adults, and because we grew up in the same neighborhood, you have that commonality together. So you're going to be connected regardless if y'all were close friends or not. Y'all may grow apart, but y'all still connected in the sense of because of the community you come from. So with some of those friends, like we may not talk all the time, but when we do catch up, we do catch up each other on each other's lives, and we're comfortable talking to each other about the things that's going on in our adult life. That's completely separate from the friends that I have post growing up in my neighborhood, because I think at the age between 18 and now, that's when you really start to come into yourself. So those are the friends who probably really know the true person who you are. And so those conversations are a lot different in comparison to the ones that I grew up with the kids and then move away and move to a different place. So
yeah, absolutely. Who else? Bro, you want to jump in on this?
So my friendships have changed because I'm getting older and moving on to different things in life, like getting married and stuff like that. So now most of my friends are like in serious relationships or getting married. So it's like we talk about relationship shit now.
mm-hmm.
So, so it's like, what the fuck? It's like we talk about grown stuff, like wanting to buy houses and me not wanting to mow lawns and porches and shit like that. And,
Nothing light fixtures.
no light
Home
fixtures.
Depot or some bullshit like that.
HGTV conversations and shit. Like, so.
What happened to us? Real quick, what happened to us?
I had a conversation with my friends like literally this week.
Go ahead.
Yeah, where I'm like, oh, I remember when we were 20. Like, what happened between now and then? I mean, the stuff we talk about now, the stuff we did when we were 20, like, what happened? Like, how did we get here?
I tell this story all the time. I told the story to y'all. Me and Tori was somewhere. I'm just gonna say IKEA, but it was some furniture store. And I passed by the mirror and just looked at myself and said, Darrell, what happened to you? Like, why are you here? What happened in your life that now you're here? So yeah, I agree. Go ahead, EJ.
I don't have friends that
you don't have friends
whenever I was really young. So I don't have I don't have a connection like that, like some other.
The gang broke up.
Well,
gang.
Well, it was military. We were all military, so our families were moving from place to place. So we weren't in the same place all the time, and I wasn't in the same place all the time. So it's hard as kids to stay connected with people whose families are also military that are moving. So a lot of the friendships that I established when I was younger, I don't even know where they are, and I can probably not recall the names because I've been so many different places. But as far as the friendships that I've had, the longest friendship actually that I've had was someone's known me since I was 19. So that's the longest friendship. But as far as like the discussions and conversations, yeah, it's about relationships. It's about life. It's about goals. It's about, what are we looking forward to in the future? It's about, on a much deeper level, obviously, than kids, a more insightful level than kids, though. So
yeah, and I think
my conversations aren't as boring as y'all's are. I'm not sitting here talking about Home Depot and HGTV all day, but yeah, we have.
I mean, I'm not saying we talk about it all day, but now we're growing up. Now we're growing up. We got stuff we actually have to talk about. It's not about talking about getting bitches no more. It's no
I
more
mean,
we're talking about going to
you're
the club.
adulting. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
Like
it's
literally,
like
me and Shard talked the other day, and he called me, and I went on. I felt bad afterwards. I went on a 20-minute rant about my household, about what's going on in my household, just because I had to get it out. But that's what the conversations are now about. And like, so I think that even with me, our even the conversations we have with each other, like the people that's here, us four, is like really deeper emotional kind of conversations. Like we talked about very, very vulnerable topics. And that's what kind of even led to doing this podcast, is our conversations are deep conversations. So that's, to me, how it has grown. It's like, I don't need you to like hang out and play ball with me and then that's it. I kind of need more, in a sense. Like I need to be able to vent, to rant, get advice, us talk about stuff and talk about it in a sense that you're helping me, you're bringing value to me, not that you're saying this and then nothing kind of comes from it. And then there's still times where we talk to each other and I'm being called a bitch, raw. So it is times where these things do happen. But for the most part, don't act like it don't happen. But for the most part, we could talk about really like serious stuff. And that's how it kind of grows. But and I also was taught that us black males, we lack emotional expression. So for right now, we're talking about us in our 30s. And of course, right now, we can have these conversations. But even at 20, kind of, was it like this? Like, so my next question is, how does the perception of the black male identity affect our relationships? So, and this is more thinking about us as a kid and even into our 20s. We're taught to be like, not be emotional, to not show weakness. How does this affect our relationship with our friends?
I think in the beginning it in fact impacts it a lot because I think I don't know if it's every man, but black men, we got that phase in our friendships where we like, I'm trying to fill you out and you fill me out. So I'm not gonna tell you nothing deep until you tell me something deep. So each person trying to figure out, well, who's gonna be the first person to say something deep before we, and once that first person says something deep, then all the deepness just come out. So like, I mean, so that's how most friendships are. So it impacts it in the sense that you're very, very cautious in revealing truly what you're going through with those friends. But emotional perspective. But then once you get to that point where, okay, you know what, I don't know, care if you judge me. This is what I'm going through. It is what it is. Then I think it's easier to kind of like, move forward. But yeah, it's a big impact because men are taught to not necessarily, be emotional, and emotionally means you're being weak. So you definitely don't want to come across weak to the guy you're trying to be friends with until y'all get to the point where they allow you to say, okay, you know what, you're going through something, talk, what's going on. So, but yeah, it impacted a lot in the beginning, I think.
Yeah, I'm laughing because it's so true. It's almost like you're in a relationship and you're like, which one's gonna say I love you first?
Yeah.
and you're just like I'm feeling you out. Like, yo, you got to say something deep before I say some shit deep. Because if you say my shit, like if you use my shit against me, now I got a one in the chamber with you too. So we got to sit here and kind of fill each other out to trust. That's why I was laughing the whole time you say that.
Yeah.
Who wanted to jump in on this? Okay, go ahead, Ro.
I mean, I kind of agree. I mean, you figure out who you can really like be really deep with, and by through your friendships. Like, you start talking to people and you realize, like, yo, like I can share certain things with this person. I can share certain things with this person. You can keep going from there. So, I mean, I agree with Sean. It's like, you find through the times that you grow, you realize that, you sometimes you need people to say certain things too and still be vulnerable with, even though, we aren't taught to be vulnerable as black men and talk about your feelings.
So when I meet a new person, I'm just gonna walk up to them and say, I battle depression, just so we can get that out the way. and then we could be friends.
But you laughing, but that's how. I mean, I think generational wise, it's almost like we went from one extreme to another. I think sometimes the younger generation hits you with the deep stuff a little bit too quick. I'm like, hold on, like, hold on. I just met you 10 minutes ago. Like,
I
can
didn't
we?
ask how you do it.
Like, what's your last name? I mean, like, so. But yeah. So but I'm sorry, keep going.
Go, EJ. You were shaking your head. No. I'm assuming you disagree because you always disagree with us. So.
But I have a different experience than y'all. That's just the.
Okay. Go ahead.
Y'all was hoes growing up. I was Angel.
I wasn't a hoe growing up. I talked about like I was a hoe. I wasn't a hoe until I was in college.
Wait, hold up. So you're trying to say that you were never a hoe in life, Edward? Is what you're trying to say?
You're hoeing now.
No, it wasn't a hoe.
But you were growing up when you were still a hoe. Being a hoe in your 20s is still growing.
Why is you mad? That's all.
I'm not mad. I'm just saying you're making it seem like we hoeing and shit.
I mean, you're hoeing
so
now.
Innocent.
According to your OnlyFans Facebook post, you're hoeing now. Like,
you know what? Not to get off topic, but can you make me private in your postings? Like,
hey, you saw the one I tagged you on?
I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, why am I seeing Edward chest every time I scroll on Facebook?
Yeah.
It's like in the dewy black and white back, like color.
Y'all say anything to Bo or to TJ or to what is his name, Michael?
I mean, they're not shirtless. Are they shirtless in these?
Bo is shirtless.
Okay.
TJ.
No different. No difference. I mean,
what the hell?
We don't talk to them on a regular basis. I don't
know them like that.
I don't know them.
I just got used to it. And I was like, oh, Edward got another naked picture. Okay, keep going.
He doesn't like these. It's basically OnlyFans pictures. Just say
I gotta look in your eyes after all this. You know, it's not like I gotta look at these other people.
Like I go to dinner with this guy. Like I can't.
And like we don't just act like we don't just act like I just see you naked with a skull cap on. I don't know. It's just like
looking like a D'Angelo.
Sorry, go ahead.
But go ahead.
I'm looking too deep into that though. You're going too deep. I just keep scrolling, just be like, oh, we're naked again. Okay.
Well, I do too, but it's like a surprise. It's not like not a surprise every time I like on. You know, it's still
not
like
a surprise. I mean, he's done it before.
This dude is showing me houses. Like that's how I look at it.
So you don't think that somebody has a life outside of what they do as a profession or whatever?
It's on OnlyFans. I'm just saying, put it on OnlyFans.
No, I mean, at the end of the day, post you. I'm just telling you my response every time I see it. I mean, I ain't telling you stop. I'm just saying.
I'm gonna continue to do it. It wasn't
do you?
It wasn't an OnlyFans photo. Like who
definitely wasn't
OnlyFans for that?
I haven't been on OnlyFans, so I guess y'all.
I feel like you worked up the courage
with the OnlyFans photo.
From what I hear, I feel like Ed was working up the courage to cross over to OnlyFans. I feel.
Yeah, he's gonna start one.
Yeah.
Anyway, back on topic. You were shaking your head.
So because y'all was hoes and I wasn't growing up, let's just re-establish that.
Char definitely wasn't a hoe.
I was not.
Okay. We won't even get into Char. That's a whole another topic. But what were we talking about now? Because y'all are just
growing up, your experiences growing up and being vulnerable with
your friends,
male friends.
Okay, thank you. All right, so let me repeat. So y'all was hoes and I was not, and now I can start the part that I wanted to start. So when I was growing up in my 20s, we were already talking about this stuff. So it's not like something that just spurred on me, like in my later 20s or in my 30s. Like we were always having those conversations. So for me, I think it was a little different. Like we were always emotional, and of course, like as I was finding myself, like I was hanging around more gay people, so we were already emotionally expressive. I had trouble initially with that because, and I still do struggle with it because of how we're raised to deal with emotions. But my friends that at that time, they were super emotional and they talked about a lot of deep things. So we were always having conversations about deep things. So for me, my experience was different. And so it just has only gotten better as I gotten older and more comfortable for me.
I got a question.
That's a yes or no. I'm sorry.
I got a question. Edward, are you wearing two different earrings?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. So
Why
is
you
your answer
answer
yes or
different
no?
ways?
I'm emotional, but I'm not. I'm trying to figure out the answer to that.
Huh? That wasn't even a part of the equation. I'm saying that I'm are we talking about how I am as a person, or are we talking about relationships?
No, okay. No, I was trying to figure. So my question to you is, how did you become less emotional if you started off emotional? That's what I was asking.
And hanging around more
No, I'm
emotional
saying
people.
Yeah.
I'm saying that it's become less of an less uncomfortable. Like
Okay, I'm with you. I'm sorry. Yeah.
So I think with me, I saw the importance of male relationships very later on in life, and it happened when the Jaden thing happened. And I was talking to my wife about it. Was my girlfriend at the time, and I'm opening up about her, and I'm telling her about all this. And you guys know I was really distant at that point, but she's telling me things that a woman would say. You know what I'm saying? And she's not like saying things that's like sometimes a woman says things when we go through stuff, and it's not necessarily they will do it themselves. It kind of like sounds good. And so and a lot of my female friends were saying stuff like this, like let them go, move on. Like they were saying stuff like that with stuff in my head. I was like, they would never do themselves. So then when I started opening up and start talking to males, now we're talking on a deeper level because we're talking about the struggles of actually a male and the things that we kind of go through in this situation, right? So we could talk about, like, for example, when me and Talori first were dating, she didn't want to talk to this guy, but she stopped talking to this guy as a friend because he basically would complain about his girlfriend, but never would leave. And they had a baby together. And I told her, I was like, you can't treat him like that. You got to understand the court systems and all this. Sometimes it's cheaper to keep her. Like we afraid of the court system and how that's going to treat us with child support and all this stuff. So it's a different. We look at things differently. I'm thinking you have to have empathy for this guy because it's a reason why he ain't leaving, and you don't understand it because
Especially in
you're a female.
Georgia.
Yeah, you
Especially
don't
in Georgia, if you don't have that child legitimized, the father
exactly
has no rights to
has
that
no right.
child. So like he can leave her and want to come see his kid and take his child with him, and then they get into argument and say, for instance, he gets a new girlfriend and he has a child around that new girlfriend,
Mm-hmm.
and the girl calls and the kid's like, hey, I'm with daddy's new girlfriend or new friend or whatever, and then she goes off and then she calls the police and says, he got the kid, I want the kid back.
Yeah, he
We got to
kidnapped.
go get the kid.
Yep. Yeah.
Basically
Yeah. And
bring
but
it
that's what
back.
I'm saying. The views of what a woman doesn't understand when she's giving you advice. We look at all this. So this is when I saw the importance. I really started on the road to kind of, I guess, recovery is when I started talking to males, and we could talk about similar situations and our struggles with being emotional and our struggles of how society and whatever treats us. So that's when I saw the value of it. So that's when now I can sit here, have conversations. I can listen, sit back and listen to anybody when they talk about their problems and give advice. But that's when I started to really see the value of it. So my next question for you guys is, what are some of the difficulties in maintaining these friendships?
I mean, okay.
Dead air
Okay,
here.
okay, I'll go. I think with any friendship, when you first meet somebody, y'all get to know each other, and there are things. I think the misconception with friendships is that one, you're always going to agree, and two, when something bad happens, everything just falls apart. And I think in order to be able to cultivate friendships, you have to allow people the opportunity to actually fail. And sometimes a lot of friendships, and even I conclude on my own, fell apart because somebody did something to me or I did something to them, and we were never able to recover from that situation. So I think that's probably one of the most difficult parts of building friendships is gaining that trust with each other and allowing the opportunity for that trust to possibly break down in situations of being able to establish a much stronger bond. One of my greatest friendships is at this point is now 20 years strong, but it didn't start off as year one is definitely different than year 20, where if something goes wrong in year 20, it's not as severe in comparison to if it would have went wrong in year one. And that takes time, work, and understanding to get to that point where your friendship is really on auto drive, where, really nothing is really, the best way I can say it is, in this particular friendship, there's really very, very little that we can do to offend the other. Like, there's really no offense in our relationships. And I think that takes time to get to that point. So, yeah.
Okay. EJ? Are you talking? You sound like you're on mute, man.
I'm not on mute. Can you hear me?
Now I can hear you.
Now we can.
You're moving your lips.
My lips are not talking. The biggest thing for me with dealing with men and trying to maintain like a relationship is communication. I feel like it lacks all the time and it's difficult. I'm one that usually does try to communicate often and consistently. And so for me, I have issues when that's not the case. That's where I find the biggest challenge with relationships with men is like, a lot of men don't need all of that, right? And I am a different type of, so I need a different type of interaction, and that's never catered to. So either I have to completely compromise, or I have to either completely compromise, or it just doesn't happen. So that's probably the most difficult piece for me to try to navigate sometimes when trying to maintain relationships.
And you tell us that all the time, so that's not new. Tell us that all the time.
And I try hard at the call. I gotta let me call.
No, the problem is you guys have real jobs, and I want to talk during the week, and nobody's available anymore.
Thank you for finally acknowledging that you don't have
No, I have a real job. It's just that I have freedoms that you guys don't have. That's all I'm saying. So, Raw, jump in this.
I mean, shoot. I guess it's just knowing your friendships. Like, for me, I'm not the one that calls all the time. I'm not the one that talks a lot. So it's just knowing the balance of knowing when and where kind of thing it is. It's basically getting to know each other, knowing the people that you're with. So for me, I can go days and weeks without talking to somebody and still be like, cool, whatever. And just whenever we do talk, I pick up from where we left off and still be straight.
But you have been the one to call, because even when I first when my son was born, you were calling just to check on a lot. So you do still have that.
Yeah, I know how, because I know how difficult it is to have like a newborn baby. Although you was trying to downplay it, I was like, whatever, motherfucker.
No, it's difficult now that we back at work. It's even more difficult, man.
Yeah, because
maternity was easy.
Because you gotta start setting those routines and getting those routines down. And especially when I told you, when she goes back out to work or you go back to work, you're gonna have to start working on having a routine of when you're gonna put him down to sleep and who's gonna take over at what time and do all different kind of things. So having a newborn it's difficult. So I was just making sure you were so straight.
Oh, it's difficult.
Yeah, I did the opposite. I completely backed off.
I saw more people back off.
Yeah.
I was one that called like.
Yeah, like, I know he's busy. Let me just kind of let him do his thing. If he needs me, he'll call. That's kind of the approach I took in terms of.
Yeah, but he still needs that. He still needs that adult attachment, because dealing with a baby all the time by yourself, it's going to suck.
Oh,
because you're literally just watching shit the baby wants to stimulate, or you're on his schedule. So now you have to figure out how to get him on your schedule and keep it going. And then, yeah, you don't want to pull your hair out.
Yeah, I wanted to play 2K and he was screaming the whole time, so I couldn't play.
No.
I think for me, the answer, males are more closer to their friends than they are their families a lot of the time. In my experience, is a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So for me, my difficulty in maintaining friendship is because I try to hold myself to a higher caliber of person, a higher degree and a higher value. So I also hold my friends to those.
It is going to look terrible.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
But I was about to say, what? At least mute us, man. Dang. But I hold my friends to these high caliber of value as well. So when they don't meet those values that I kind of set for, this is where like I kind of got felt the way about what Shar saying. I just cut people off easy. I think I hold these people to the standard. And where I go wrong is I feel like I would have interacted this way, and I feel like they should too. We're all in the same level of friendship. We all should interact in a similar way. And then when it doesn't happen or I get disappointed, then I start putting you in this box. And once I put you in this box, as you guys know, it's really hard to come out of it.
You literally just said what I said.
No, you saying like I just cut people off, like
no, I said you have like you literally just said what I said. Like you have okay. So with my friends, I don't hold them to the. Or let me try how to phrase this. I recognize the weakness in my friends, if that makes sense. And I think in recognizing that, I try to be conscious about the things that I'm more forgiving of in those areas in comparison to if they do that, I'm like, okay, well, let me put them in a box. So that's kind of how I am. Like, I hold my friends a high standard in terms of trying to make sure that I'm not being hurt in a sense. But at the same time, I also try to recognize areas where they're weak. And if I recognize those areas and they just happen to fall in those areas, be a little bit more forgiving and say, okay, I know that they're trying to figure out this part of them. So let me just, give them the opportunity to kind of figure out what that is. And more so to say like, oh, you did this to me. Let me kind of move you here. I guess if that makes, I don't know. Yeah.
No, I think everybody I deal with, I try to deal with stand-up people. And all the people I deal with, all you guys on here are stand-up guys, in my opinion. And I only deal with people I feel like are stand-up guys. So when you do something that deviates from that, and I feel like I give people ample opportunities to kind of rectify the situation. I try to talk about with people, and for some reason, I feel like people don't talk about it with me. But once you move from being this stand-up person, I kind of don't want nothing to do with you at this point. Like I always put this example. Nipsey Hussle got killed by a member of his own gang. So if he's gonna get killed, if he got killed by a member of his own gang, I can't sit here and pretend like people close to me can't turn on me as well. So I give you one chance to betray me, and when that time happens, I won't give you a second. So go ahead.
I think it's a different thing to say that you are compassionate and empathetic about a person and where they are in life and how they're operating and how they're going as a person. That's one thing. But to be an enabler and to allow people to continually do the same things over and over again that are constantly hurtful to you, that's a completely different story. So I don't give allowances for that. Like, there's no allowance for me for that, because Absolutely. At the end of the day, I'm going to hold you accountable for what you've done and how you've made me feel. So I disagree that, like, just because someone isn't as forgiving on things all the time, that they're not that they're just a cut off situation. Like, they're like really cut and dry. While I agree Darrell is very cut and dry when it gets to that point, I just feel like if I can't hold my own friends accountable for their behaviors and how they treat me and how they make me feel, then who the hell can I hold accountable? Like, other than myself, especially if I'm going to hold my own self accountable, and I'm going to be the one to say, acknowledge when I'm wrong, when I messed up, when I didn't live up to the expectation that my friends have from me, then I should be able to hold them to that same standard and there not be an issue. And if you can't do that, then you're not adding value to my life, and you may not need to be there. And I need to reevaluate our friendship and see what level we are. Because even going through all of last year and what's going on now and before this year, we've all reevaluated friendships that we thought were closer than what they actually were, and realized, oh, wow, I thought we were here, but we're actually here. And so, like, you reevaluate those and you compartmentalize those friendships into what category they go into. And we do it all the time.
No, I completely agree with that. So, and I'll ask you, EJ, and Raw, if you want to jump in, do you, like, I feel like I give people multiple times before even that situation, it goes into that. Before I'm that black and white with people, I give people multiple opportunities for that time even happens. Would you agree?
I agree.
Okay.
I think at the same time, I think you probably overanalyze the severity of the situation that happened also. So like there may be something that someone did, but it may not be as big of a deal as you realize it actually is. So it's also the situations in terms of the measure of how you measure in terms of what somebody may have may
I
have
mean, I
done.
disagree with that. I
Yeah.
disagree, and now I'm gonna give you an example. EJ, a couple weeks ago said that he felt like we wasn't as close as friends because we don't talk. He just said earlier he has a communication. We have to communicate. I said nothing. I agree with him. I didn't invalidate his feelings, even though I feel like it wasn't that serious. I feel like I'm like Rob, like we can go weeks without talking. That doesn't really change our relationship. But he's not like that. So just because I don't feel as strongly as him, I still have to take his feelings under consideration. I have to treat it as just as important as he does because it's his and he's my friend. So that's why I disagree with you. If I feel like something's strong, then it's strong, regardless if you feel it or not, just because we all have a relationship with each other. We would do the same thing with our wives. How many times have our wives said something and we don't really care about it, but we got to take it that seriously because they take it that seriously? It's the same concept.
But the other half of that is that even with being Shanita, there are areas where I'm strong and there are areas where she's weak. And there are things that she may like in our relationship that she may repeatedly do that because not because she's trying to hurt me, but because she's actually just weak in that area. So the question is, it's like at that particular point, all I can do is continue to work with her and help her get stronger in that area instead of just causing a rift that can make it bigger in our relationship because of her. It has to be both sides because one, it's got to be equal because I'm not perfect, you're not perfect. We recognize something great or good in the other that benefits us. So let's work toward it. Let's kind of like figure each other out, learn each other, and recognize what our strengths and weaknesses are as we go along. I think with any relationship, like granted, no one's saying just take abuse, but I think you have to give everybody the opportunity to grow if you're trying to build a substantial relationship. It can't be. You got to get to a point where the transgressions that happen in your relationship, it has to be measured in terms of the severity of what it is. And as long as you have the windows in terms of when you're hurt, the ability to communicate with each other and try to work it out, I think you'll be good. It's like, but at the same time, you have to allow grace when you're building relationships. That's not saying that you need to be allow yourself to be taken advantage of. You just recognize that I'm in a friendship with somebody who may not be like me, or that person, or we're different. So because we're different, we're trying to figure out each other. And a long way of figuring out each other, we may rub each other the wrong way. But as long as we have the open line of communication, we continue to build. Because I think there's a difference between that and just being completely betrayed or something done wrong to you. Is what I'm saying.
So I mean, I guess so with any relationship, you also got to come in understand that you're two different people
Yeah.
and people handle things differently.
Mm-hmm.
So like even with me and Danny, I had to realize that we are not the same person. And in the same things that I may want her to do a certain way, she's not going to do it that way because she's someone totally different, or she's going to handle something a different way than I would handle it. As much as it frustrates me, you got to understand that there has to be some kind of balance.
Yeah.
Whereas if she does something and she does it in a way that I may not agree with, that's just how she does certain things.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm
that's
glad you
the same
said
thing
that.
with That's the same thing with friendships. Like people may do things that you may not totally agree with, but that's how they handle it. So you have to understand the person that you're dealing with. If it's not per se causing a strain on your relationship or causing you to be upset, then you gotta understand that their way of handling things might be just their way of handling certain things. And then you gotta work on figuring out a way how to incorporate how you may feel about that into how they handle it and have a discussion about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I
You
agree.
pretty much said what I said.
No,
But
I
just
agree and I
elaborate for
disagree with
me.
that statement. Because yes, you can be a certain way, and absolutely, I need to understand how you are as a person And I think on any relationship, of course, we know it's two different people. Sometimes I think people forget that you're not the same person. And I learn how you operate and I can understand how you operate. But if I tell you that something is, me telling you that it's something that you do is offensive and you just continue to do that is different than, okay, this is a behavior that they do. It doesn't offend me necessarily. I don't necessarily like it, but I'm going to let them know, this is difficult for me. Where can we meet in the middle? If you're doing something that's offensive to me, that's completely different.
No, that's different. I mean, if I'm doing,
Yeah.
if
But what
someone's
I'm
doing
saying,
something offensive to you,
but what I'm saying, if I tell you it's an issue for me, then we need to figure out a common ground. It's not for you to just say, "Oh, well, that's how I am," and we roll with the punch. That's not
But I
how it
think,
works.
but that's not what I was
That's
saying
that's
though.
where,
not,
that's
yeah.
where I reevaluate
I
friendship
think what,
But
well,
that's not what I was
I think what
saying.
Rawdon was saying was this: if something happens, there's no process map to say step by step, this is how this person should be handled it. So you can't base how someone reacts to something on the way that you would handle it. So in friendships, people, like you said, react to things differently. So you can't say, well, if this were me, this is how I would handle it because it's not you. So in those situations, if your friend doesn't necessarily handle it the way that you felt like it should be handled, you can't take that as an offense. It has to be more situations of, well, this person's different from me. Let me kind of figure out what's going on in their mind, and do it from that angle. And I think it's more what Rada was trying to say, more so than saying if I just keep doing something to you that's just abusive or offensive, I should just accept it. I guess.
Right.
Ross,
That's
that was
like so. Like if I'm cursing you out every day, then and you find that offensive, then that's something that I would have to change in our friendship. But if something happens and I handle it a certain way, but you don't feel like I handle it the way that you would handle it, that it doesn't mean that it's offensive. That's something that you can talk about and be like, yo, like personally, I would have done this, and you guys have a conversation about why it was done the way it was done instead of feeling like it was offensive or a slight.
and that puts me into my next question, and I'll let you continue. Is how do we deal with conflict within our friendship? So you guys have you and your friends have a conflict. What's the ideal way of you guys kind of dealing with it? So I'll let you continue.
Um, it depends on the conflict. Some things you need to address right away. Some things you just need to give it time and just have a conversation about it. And there's plenty of times like I've yelled at friends. Might not be in the right time to yell at friends, but I've yelled at them. And there's other times I just let it go and we have conversations or we have conversations one on one and I'd be like, yo, like, did you feel like that was the best way to handle that or whatever? My biggest thing is I always give pros and cons when it comes to certain things, and then you make the decision you're gonna make.
Sorry, you want to jump in?
I like to deal with issues when they happen. Like I like to deal with it.
Oh
Um,
no, do
yeah,
you?
yeah. Well, y'all laugh at that, but I feel like for me that's the best way of handling it. I think that's the best way in comparison to not talking about it and letting it fester, because you can like for me. But I think the part that I need to work on in terms of just wanting to handle it is what you said, Raw, in terms of picking the right time and the right place on when to
Mhm.
handle it. So that's the part that I feel like I need to work on, and I think I'm actually getting better at doing that in terms of picking the time when the best time to talk about it. But overall, I would prefer to deal with it because I'm not the type of person that likes to hold on. Just my own self, I can't personally function if I know that there's something. I'm not the type of person where I can be in a room with you and I know that there's some type of issue that we haven't dealt with. I'm the type of person where I'm not gonna act like depending on the situation, I'm not gonna act like we cool or we don't have an issue and we're literally in the same room or around each other. I would rather deal with it at that point, have the conversation about it, and then once I deal with it and talk about it, I let it go. Like
So
I'm done with it.
you're like
Huh?
Danny.
Huh?
You're like Danny. If
Yes.
Danny has an issue, she has to talk about it right then and there.
But
I'm
the
the type
other,
I'm the type of person if we have an issue, I don't always want to talk about it right then and there. I have sometimes I need to take time before I talk about it.
Yeah.
Because if I do talk about it at that moment, I may or do things that you might regret later.
Yeah.
May or say things. So
Well,
it's more of a process of getting your thoughts together and working there.
mhm. But I
So
think but the most important part about, I think, well, I'm like that, but I think the most important part is once we talk and once there's resolve and once the issue is settled, I am really, really, truly cool and done.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're not going back to the issue.
I'm not going back to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll agree with that because so that irritates me. But I agree. As soon as you talk about it, it's almost like it never happened in your personality and how
Yeah.
you act. What about you, EJ?
For me, it depends on the situation. I do often like to take time to think things through first before I respond to them. But sometimes I do knee jerk react as well. But also for me, it depends on my level of friendship with the person. Honestly, like if it's not a close friend, I'm not gonna be too pressed to fix the issue if we're already not close. But if it's someone that I value and definitely care about, then I'm gonna want to address the issue quickly. While I say I might need time to figure out what it is I want to say, it's not going to be days or weeks past, because I think it comes to a point that if you let something go so long, your mind has already created an entire story that may not even be the picture. So letting things go beyond 1 or 2 days or 3 days is kind of not a thing for me. But yeah, it all does depend on my level of friendship with the person. I can be in the same room with someone and completely, absolutely hate them, and you would never know, because I mean, that's just how I am. Like, I don't have a problem being around people that I don't like. If I'm in a group with other people, if they're a part of a group with other people, if I don't like you, I don't have to show that I don't like you. I just don't like you, and in very inconspicuous ways that I don't like you. But I do try to tackle it head on, and I don't like to try to beat around the bush. I like to get to the meat of the topic and actually talk about it. So if you're a person that doesn't like to talk about it, then we don't talk about it. We probably, the way that I value you or speak to you or look at our friendship will be completely different if we never actually address it. So
Right.
it's just me.
I think I modify it depending on who I have the conflict with. So if it's like a Shar situation, me and him could talk right then and there. And I've called him with situations that I felt and called him right then and there. With you guys, I could wait however long. Basically, I'm flexible. I think anything needs to be addressed, and I'm flexible with whoever is the person I'm having the conflict. They kind of drive it because I'm good either way. But where we differ is I can't be in a room with somebody I ain't like is a problem with. I can't be in a room, or I can be in the room, but you know it's a problem. Like anything they do irritates me. They jokes ain't funny. Like, like nothing we can do in this situation. We need to be in the same environment, and you think everything is cool. You know from my interaction, we ain't cool. And it's been since, and that goes with me and my wife. We could get into an argument, and I ain't ready to move on. Like, nah, we not cool. I don't care what you want for dinner. You can starve. Like,
Wow.
like,
Shit.
no, until the thing gets addressed.
No, I'm the same way.
And until this thing gets addressed.
I thought you said you just get done. You're done with the
No, when I'm done with it, I'm done with it. But when we mad, I'm mad. Is what I'm saying. Like what Darrell's saying.
Like, if we not addressing it, like we ain't speaking, we ain't saying what's up.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm
I'm
not
not
talking-
sitting here playing, and I don't play like that. We ain't sitting here playing in front of the cameras, and you think it's all good, because that to me opens the door that you think you think what your shit is good, and you could continue to do it. Like, no.
You gonna sit here and ask me for dinner and we ain't talk about what we need to talk about? Like, that's like we need to have a conversation. Yeah.
Nah. So
Yeah.
and I think a lot of my friendships have changed because of that very aspect of it. Where I'm like, I'm ready to go. Let's go, let's talk, let's hash it out. And then they kind of just move on. Like, you know how guys are. We don't apologize. We just go on and start talking about sports and acting like everything good. Like, I don't give a fuck if you're a Falcons fan. We don't know. Fuck the Falcons. Like, I don't want to sit here and have a conversation with you. Like, I just don't get down like that. And maybe that come from me being betrayed so much and treating a certain way. now I respond to this in this manner in such a aggressive tone. We can't be in the same room. We can't be handling business. We can't do nothing with each other at all. That's
I
just,
mean, that sounds like that. You need to fight and just get it over with.
no, it don't have to be a fight. It don't have to. We too old to be fighting anyway. It don't have to fight, but it just has to be. It has to be addressed in some shape or form. It can be like Shar. It could be right in there, or it can wait. But I'm not about to go on my life and act like this shit ain't a problem.
No, I mean, I guess I'm a little different. I just don't. If I get to that point, then there's nothing to talk about.
No, I think I get to that point because I feel like I cherish people's relationships, and I feel like they don't cherish the relationship. So I get to that point because if I don't care, if I'm like and I don't care, then there's nothing to us to even speak about. We had conversation with people. I was like, I don't need to hear this person's point of view. I'm cool. I don't need to hear it.
Do you think at the same time, do you think that moment of that gap where you're not talking can create like if it goes on long enough, it can create damage and make people start thinking about stuff that may not actually be happening. You know what I'm saying? Like the longer y'all don't talk, the more you have to think about certain things. And like to your point, now you go back and replay all the stuff that they did, and
Yep.
you're like,
And
yeah, man, this was annoying. This did get on my nerve. You know what I'm saying? So like, yeah,
it pile up.
Yeah.
Pile up. And that's why I think it's healthy, especially if you guys have a friendship that is to be valued. Regardless, it might be uncomfortable conversation. It still need to be had. I mean, I'm sure you and Shanita, you and Danny had uncomfortable I know me and Talori had uncomfortable conversations that I'm like, man, I think she damn near trying me at this point. But it had an uncomfortable conversation that had to be said. We need to treat our friendship as well as this. And we need to say that these uncomfortable conversations need to be had. I think we're so afraid to say these things. We're so afraid to be vulnerable. We're so afraid of how the other person might react that we don't have these conversations. And the matter is, if both of us are having a conversation, then we both value the relationship. So we both goal is the same. And no matter how the journey we arrive to that, our goal is still the exact same. So I think we cannot just go on and just say, hey, how's today doing? How's the family? How's the money? You fuck bitches today? Like, we can't have just a normal conversation until this is addressed, in my opinion.
I guess also another random thought I thought about. The apology is not going to be the same from friend to friend because I know your apology is definitely different from how Rawdon apologizes. It's just not just because like your apology probably gonna be a little more flowery in comparison to what Rawdon apology is. Where like you'll be like you like, you know what, I know I did you this. I know you're wrong. I'm sorry. We're rather like, man, I messed up. I'm jacked up. I'm sorry. You want to grab some lunch?
That is literally my apology. My bad. You good? All right, let's go.
Because I think the best apology is change behavior. That's the best apology. Is change behavior. It's acknowledging what I'm doing. So let's say you're talking about that we don't reach out to him more. I acknowledged it. I acknowledge, and the best thing I could do is I know it's important to reach out to him more. I was gonna call you the other day, but now I'm making a conscious effort to try to reach out to him a little bit more to show that it's changed behavior. So that's how I apologize. It's just y'all schedule's a little bit whacked up in mine.
I call you back anyway. If you call me,
you do call me back, but it's like the most times I want to talk is like during the day, and y'all not available.
I literally call you back in like a minute's time.
Yeah. Okay. No, you do, but you got like time frames of how long you could talk. Like I just have more freedom. It's just like,
I'm at work.
But what I'm saying is, I acknowledge what you said. I acknowledged it, and then I'm trying to make an effort to change that because your friendship is valuable to me. So that's what I'm saying. For me, that's how I apologize.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, the best apology is change behavior. So that's why personally, I don't dwell on apologies. I'll be like, my bad, but I move on from that and try to change the behavior if I
Right.
feel somebody feels some type of way. Because I mean, dwelling on the apology ain't gonna do shit. Words don't mean shit.
Words don't mean shit, man. You need to tell kids that, man. Words don't mean shit.
Words don't mean shit. It's all about action. So it is what it is.
Yeah. So let me throw an audible question. So, Shar and EJ, how do y'all apologize? And then I got one last question, and we're gonna call it.
You want to go first?
Just go ahead, Shar.
Okay. All right. I'm probably well. It depends. Like I think it depends on the friendship. So like I like to explain why I'm upset, and then I kind of like. Well, no, I'm sorry. How I apologize. I actually.
I was like, what?
Sorry, wrong question. So no, I really try to be as genuine as I can in the apology. So I'm like, I'm sorry. Like I really try to be genuine and try to express to the person that I really am remorseful for what I did. So I'm kind of probably more like you, Darrell, in the apology. It turned out I try to be as remorseful and understanding as genuine in an apology as I can possibly be. So the person can understand that I am sorry.
Okay. And what about you, EJ?
So I mean, I usually always own up to something if I've done something wrong. I have no issue with that. And then trying, of course, to understand their side. I do make attempts to try to like correct the behavior if I feel like it's something that was offensive or something that I could improve on. So I usually try to be pretty sincere and pretty thorough in my apology.
Okay, cool. And my very last question to you guys is, can males truly be friends with the opposite sex?
Yes.
Yeah, you can.
EJ?
What?
Are you
Are you
say
talking?
something, or are you just
I
smiling?
was talking. Of course you can. I have lots of female friends.
Okay. All of y'all are saying, and I knew y'all all answered this way. This was why I wanted to throw this out there.
Well, no, I'm sorry to elaborate on that. Like, I didn't have a problem with my female friends. My wife had a problem with my female friends more than No, I'm just being real. It's like, I mean, if we gonna go there, it's not me being having a problem more so than my significant other saying, okay, what's going on with this? The only female friends I have now at this point are friends, a married couple, female friends. But outside of that, no, they're all gone.
I got single female friends.
I had single female friends.
I had as well. I think it's two parts to this. It's two answers to this question. Married Darrell, the answer is yes, of course. Single Darrell, depends how attractive they are. And then that's that.
Well, dang, okay.
Okay, so engaged Rodden, yes. Single Rodden, yes.
Yeah,
And
same
those
here.
strictly platonic.
Yeah.
Nah, it's not gonna be strictly platonic.
See me tell me you can't have a platonic. You can't have a platonic relationship.
That's how I knew you was a hoe. Like the way you be.
I'm gonna try.
Like a hoe.
I'm gonna be trying.
Really?
Yeah.
Like you cannot have one female friend that you think that's attractive, that you think is cool, but you just straight up friends with her because you just want to be friends.
Not single Darrell now. Because I want to be like, even if she like crying over a boyfriend and she like wants to talk about it, I'm just hoping like she's kind of vulnerable at that point, and then
You're a predator.
That's really a predator relationship, predator mentality.
Terrible.
That is crazy.
That was single Darrell. Darrell's not single anymore. And Raw would do the same thing, so I don't even know why Raw's stunting for TV. Like,
no, I have single female friends, and I've had them since college.
I don't believe none of that.
Well, I mean, I'm sure that he's taking advantage of situations, but I'm not saying. But
I mean, I have, but I do have friends that I've never even tried ever in life.
He's not saying.
Is it because the opportunity hasn't come up?
No, opportunities have come up, but they're just friends, like legit friends. Like we just cool.
But it's one thing to take advantage of an opportunity. It's one thing to say that I would proactively try to take advantage of opportunities.
No, I'm not saying I'm proactive. I'm just saying if it moves to that direction.
No, you
said that I can't have female friends. Well, also, you know what's interesting? But I guess that's a good question. So can married Darrell have single female? I mean, have single female friends? If single Darrell couldn't have single female friends?
Absolutely, because I'm married and I'm committed to one person. That mind frame is not there anymore. So yeah, absolutely I could, because I'm not trying to do anything.
You were a Stevie J when you were.
Yeah. How can you do what you've never tried? Have you never done?
What? Hold on.
I'm just saying.
Well, yeah. Apparently, you never had single female friends that were just platonic. So how can you have them now? I guess is what he's asking.
Because I'm not trying to do anything.
But to say out of a moment, you and Talori just have a little, like, y'all not on the best terms, and like.
Because I'm so committed to that person.
Interesting.
I'm so committed. So that part of me, I can have single female friends and we could talk about life, all that stuff. I'm not trying to do anything because I'm committed to one person.
But you can do when you're single.
Yeah, I'm confused. Yeah.
I'm not committed to a person.
No,
I'm kind of confused with that. Yeah.
So you never had an attractive single female friend when you were single, and it was just, and you were just like, you know what? She's very attractive, but she's cool as hell. So I don't want to ruin this friendship and just keep it strictly platonic.
No.
Interesting.
The only time it's either they rejected me or the opportunity never came across. But nah.
Interesting.
Because I would always do it. If the single Darrell, if the opportunity happened, I would always do it. So
the reason why I asked that question, and granted, I'm not saying it's you, is that for most men who have your type of response, it seems like that's a gateway to possibly not being, faithful in a sense. If you're incapable of, you know what I'm saying? That's why I'm kind of, if that makes sense. Not saying that you're looking for it, huh?
No, I disagree with that.
Not you. I'm just saying,
No, if you're not gonna be faithful, you ain't gonna be faithful regardless of the situation. But I think I hold marriage very highly. I also hold my wife very highly. That's nothing to worry about now.
So do you confide in your friendships, the female friends, and the same thing you would confide in your wife with?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You said what?
I confide the same. Yeah.
You said what? What did you say? I didn't hear you.
Would he confide in his female friends? Would married Darrell confide in his female friends the same thing he confide with his wife? I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
No.
It'd be more towards my wife. So let me say that. But the same things I would talk about to them would be the same thing I talk about to her.
If you and Flo were having problems, would you confide with them with those problems?
Mm-mm.
I might just say, like, get a woman's point of view, but I wouldn't say I confided them. Nah.
You see where I'm going at with that?
But no,
because now it's the opposite. I got where you're going.
No, but if me and Talori are having issues, I'm talking to people in relationships. I'm not going to single people about anything. I'm going to married people.
I mean, even married people. What if y'all married and y'all both having issues and y'all confide in each other?
Well, I don't really. You
kind of see what I'm saying? Like, you see what
I see what you're saying. You're trying to come up, but no. Most of the time I'm talking to males anyway about that. Would I have a problem confiding to a female? No, I wouldn't, because I know that it's not going to go there ever. So no, I don't have an issue with it because I know it's not going to go there. But most people I'm talking to is male anyway.
Okay. So in other words, I don't think you're going to have any female friends that's not while you're married. What I'm hearing.
No, I can have no friends. Okay. But the problem is you guys aren't on the same level. Like Ross talked about it earlier. When you're in a relationship, you're around people who are in a relationship. You have relationship talk. When you can have single friends, but y'all conversations ain't the same. Y'all don't have on similar trajectories. So it's kind of hard to even have those type of conversations.
But the question is, can you have a single friend while you're married?
Yes.
Female friend.
You could, yes. Now, are you going to have certain conversations or do certain things with that person? Probably not. But yeah, you can have them.
Yeah, I think your relationship or interaction with them would need to be different and tailored. There's something
exactly. Yes, it has. Yes.
Yeah, like I'm not even married, but I know that much to know that if I'm in a relationship and I want to talk about something about that's happening in a relationship, I wouldn't necessarily divulge all that information to someone that's single with the single mindset. It would be tailored and a little bit different.
But I think Raw is what I'm getting at with that. Is because Raw, like the friend that Raw have that's now, I feel like he can probably have that type. If him and Danny were going through something, he can probably go talk to that friend as if he was talking to another male. Because that's what I was getting at. Is that a safe assumption? Or
In that sense,
You talking about my
I don't
single
have
female friends?
yeah, the one that you have now in terms of
no, and
Well,
that's
I have single female friends and I have female friends are in relationships.
yeah, both. Either one,
But
the ones you have now,
yeah, I can.
yeah.
I'm saying I think that's fair. I don't, off the top of my head, I don't have a single female friend that I even talk to like that.
Yeah, and see what I was saying is I did at one point, but when I got married, it kind of like dissolved. If I get that, yeah.
Well, Lori didn't dissolve mine.
Dissolve it. You just
Huh?
but I think also if you're going to go that route, you kind of have to really trust that person that you're going to be sharing information with. You got to really know them, because if you are like, you have to think about it. If you're in a relationship and maybe that you don't know that person might have like a hidden attraction or have a hidden agenda or something, you really need to know that person before you start talking about stuff that's happening in your relationship, because they're going to use that against you. So you, at that point, you have to really have a certain level of trust for a person to be able.
And then you shouldn't be. I mean, logically, you shouldn't be going to single people about your marriage problems anyway. You should go with like-minded people anyway.
That's a cop out in terms of your statement.
Sometimes you need an outside perspective.
Yeah, just outside perspective, I think. Yeah.
No, I always go to your question to me is a mute point because I always go to males anyway. I'll always, if I have a problem with it, I'll go to you, I'll go to Raw, I'll go to people who, my uncle, who are married in long-term relationships, and talk to them anyway. So I could talk to a single woman, a single female, but I just don't. There's not one I would talk to in these situations that would happen. So that's where we're ending it.
Okay.
Alrighty.
I already know you're not prepared, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Shar, our social medias. Oh, you got it written down?
No, he doesn't. He's lying.
Yeah, show the page. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
Hopefully I don't mess this up that I have it written down. So you can go meet us at Lesser Man Podcast at all major platforms. You can catch us on Lesser Man Podcast on our YouTube channel. You can catch us on our social media at Lesser Man at Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can also meet us at our website at www.lessermanpodcast.com.
Can you make it a little bit more natural though when you do it?
Look here, I gave you what you asked for. I felt like me not knowing was more natural than me knowing and reading from a piece of paper. So it's like, I don't know what else you want. I'm just saying.
So you ain't gonna be a no Tyler Perry.
You have Donald Trump me and make me read from a teleprompter. Just let me be in my natural self and let me roll with how I want to roll. So you can't ask me to be all natural and then read it at the same time. I can't.
I want you to be natural and read at the same time.
Teleprompters. He doesn't even read them.
Huh? Exactly. I can be entertaining and go off the cuff, but you want accuracy. I can't give you accuracy in off the cuff. And I'm not an actor. I can't roll like that.
So I'd rather you be entertaining. So
okay, thank you. I gave you what you asked for,
and it was terrible.
Don't change me. Don't try to change me.
So we're gonna end it here, man. I thought we ran really longer than I thought we were gonna do. We're gonna end it here. I want to end it with 50 Cent said this. I always thought this was a good quote, and I say this quite a bit. But you're only as good as the people you talk to for no reason. So if you talk to ain't shit niggas, then you most likely are ain't shit nigga. If you talk to somebody who's productive, and it goes with what Raw was saying, how we talk about people in similar situations. We're married, so we talk more to married people. I always find that interesting, and that's who I try to pick in my circle. So next time, any parting words, guys? No, I guess not.
2021.
All right. Peace.